Well, we should look at your trailer.
And absolutely, we're going to talk about that because I was going to kind of bring it into the fact that, comedies have to be a lot easier to put together because you don't have to worry about making sure you plant that clue for the most part that you do in dramas or mysteries.
Yeah, well, depending on the comedy. The problem with comedy is you never know if it's going to be funny until you show it, because it's not like a stage play. You can do a run through with the actors and a table read, but until you show it and you hear the laughter, and comedy is so subjective. If you scare someone, you can pretty much guarantee you're going to scare someone, but
make them cry, it's easy.
Yeah.
It's got to be the hardest thing. I've done little short comedy pieces, in France, and I learned never to have your main actor do his own stunts, for example, during a pratfall, because you can't shoot for a few more days or maybe a few more weeks. I don't know, it's got to be harder. At least for me, it would be harder to do comedy, just because it's got to be funny. And it's like being a stand-up.
Yeah.
It's got to be the hardest
I could never
job
get into
in the
that.
world.
Yeah, it's got to be a lot funnier than, if you think it's hysterical, it's probably going to get a few chuckles.
Yeah.
So if you think, well, this is okay, you're in big trouble.
Yeah, it's got to be hard.
Well, you mentioned the trailer, so let's take a look at Lily's mom.
Lily's mom.
You sounded pretty desperate.
Guess that's how I feel.
Well, what made you decide to come see me?
Hoping I'm not crazy.
You're like some sort of headache queen. Looks like you're back with those headaches again.
But what if there's something else happening here, like a brain tumor or something?
Does life seem overwhelming at times?
I guess it does. There's a lot of money involved.
When you were here on Saturday, were you alone? I can't make exceptions, so I have to let you go.
I think you're going to be really sorry. Well, why don't you sell some of those guns? You don't need that many anyway. That's when I decided I needed to make my life normal.
Where's Mike?
I don't know. He'd never touch her, because he knows I'd kill him.
Yeah, that means so much, Mommy. She really scares me.
She's being punished.
What?
Do you have that sickness too?
No.
I hope not.
She took all her pills. Stay where you are, I'll be right there.
What's going on?
Amazing, amazing too. To me, it's hard to believe when I do watch a fair amount of films and I see the trailers and you're pulled in or you're not, and these films pull you in, and it's got to mean that's a good sign, I would think. And Lily's mom actually won an award, so as I understand. Tell us about that.
Award, the Indie Gathering in Cleveland. We're out in Cleveland, and we were there. Nan and I were there, and this past weekend, and it was a good feeling. It's nice to have someone actually show your film on a screen. That's a huge one right there, And seriously, it's a nice feeling.
Mm-hmm.
But it was.
Is it when your colleagues really recognize the effort? It's not just the audience, but it's people who actually make films for a living and say, that's good.
That's pretty much the audience at a film festival is filmmakers or wannabe filmmakers, and so it's a nice feeling. And again, like I said, just seeing it on a bigger screen is a nice feeling. But it's a lot goes into this, and some movies the trailer is all the movie is. If you see some of these action films, you go to the movie theater and you see these action trailers, and you realize those probably are all the best scenes of the movie, and there probably is nothing else, because the trailer's there to drag you into the theater. And it's got to look like it's got a promise of something, and just like Jack said too, you can't give away too much in a trailer for a real movie. When saying what we do, we're not just selling people a trailer, but you can't give away where it's going. You got to entice them. That's what we tried to do on our trailers, but you can't really say what's happening because you don't know from that trailer whether she pops them or not.
Well, he had an attitude, so I hope she does.
Yeah. Don is a good bad guy, isn't he?
Right, he is. And is it hard to play a guy like that? Because you're going to go to Kroger tonight and someone's going to say, oh, there's that creep that I saw. Is it hard to kind of walk away from that, or do people kind of really identify you with who you play on screen?
Not really, because people know me. Most people, and Nan, she knows me. I'm a big goofball. I'm just a nice guy,
You're a soldier.
Yeah, I'm
Can't
a
be all
soldier.
bad, yeah.
You know, that's another role I play too, but been for 26 years. But yeah, you know, it's
a good guy in our educational sleep apnea movie. You
Yeah.
were the guy with too much caffeine.
Yeah, I was. And that's it. I can't sleep. But no, it's actually it's kind of fun to play the bad guy because you know, everyday life you're
You're a good guy.
I'm a good guy,
Yeah.
so I get to play the bad guy. So I get to be this mean dude and yell really loud and be obnoxious or whatever, and
Ominous.
ominous and. You know,
Again, are you thinking about, you know, your neighbor who used to be yelling at his wife all the time? Are you trying to,
Yeah.
that uncle who was kind of mean to everybody, are you channeling that? Or is it just something that you just, okay, I'm going to be angry, I'm going to be mean, I'm going to be an abuser, and then you just do it?
That's, I think about, you know, I like to go back and recall something that really made you upset, you know, it makes you just
So
really ticks you off, and so you just let it out, you know. And
what do you do in a film like mine when you're you're sort of the guy who is in all of these scenes to really propel the other characters along, and so, I mean, you're sort of the guiding post. It's not like you don't have any emotion, but you're not a super bad guy, you're not a super good guy. Do you approach that sort of as a pedestrian, well, I'm here to support these people more, or how do you do that?
good question.
Well, I think a lot of it has to do with like you would do in theater. Everybody can't be the principal actor on a
Right.
stage.
Yeah,
and
true.
film is very much the same way, and so you're there to support each other. And what you do is just as important as a lead actor because you are bolstering their performance to get them where they need to be.
Each part is
And I think a
important.
lot of times the supporting actors can sometimes be more important to, you know, convey the story than some of the things that the main actors do.
Bring more of the reality to the scene.
And you feature your supporting actors when you shoot them. I mean, it's just like it's their solo.
Right.
And it's not like you're hidden backstage or behind some other character on the stage. You're in a close up too, and
Yeah,
that's different in movies.
I was going to say, I mean, if you're shooting 3 people in a scene, you shoot a master and you shoot maybe a 2-shot, but everyone gets a close-up. And as I edit the key, I had one scene in here which I took out because the actress isn't here tonight, and it was sort of featured her, so I took it out. But when we shot the scene, Don is sitting in the back seat of a car, and she's got a monologue, and Don's just listening and reacting. And so when we shot it, I was just concentrating on her, and then I watched the edit, and I said, oh my gosh, she's acting exactly like he should because of what she's saying, but I never saw that when we were shooting it. Sorry to say that, Don. But
He's a better actor than he even knew.
That's just it. I mean, you have to react, even though you're not the primary person acting in the scene. You have to. I mean, you're not going to be sitting in the background laughing if there's
But how
some
do you
serious stuff
keep it
going
fresh
on.
when you're doing the scenes over and over and over
You
again?
get a little crazy in between, I guess.
yeah.
Sometimes you manipulate people. You want someone to act tired and frustrated, so you keep doing multiple takes.
And it happens.
Come off.
Or you sing
That's
some
what you
Elvis
get.
tunes, or you know.
Yeah.
Yeah, but a director's one of the lowest forms of life because you really rip people's hearts out. You manipulate them into acting a way they didn't want to act. As Fellini said, every day I send my actors out to suffer for me. You know.
Well, and one of the scenes that we have in Lily's Mom, we were there bright and early in the morning, and poor Don, I felt so bad for him, but he was kind of happy. He comes walking in, and he said, which scene is it? Heads to the fridge, and he grabs his beer right there at 8 o'clock in the morning. I remember
I would
that.
actually think so.
Okay, that goes back to being a soldier, right?
Yeah, that's a prerequisite,
Yeah.
obviously. You know.
Craft services are good at beer.
No, Ed, you had a very young child acting.
Yes,
That's got to be a kind of a 50-50 that you never know what child you're going to
Oh, she was so good. Her older sister was in a movie we did 5 years ago called Life. We did the dramatization for Life and Migraine, the one for PBS. And here, come along for casting this one, and here's little Jessica. And when we were auditioning her, I already knew who my lead was going to be. You know, Kimberly Harsh. You know, she officially is Kimberly. She's a wonderful actress. But I wanted the chemistry of the two for the audition to know how they were going to be, and they just worked. It was magic, and it's phenomenal. In fact, on the webpage, there are some candids of just the two of them goofing around off set, and you can see that chemistry is there. And Kim has a daughter that age, so it worked really well. She's a wonderful little actress. And the thing about kids in film, it's about having normal parents. And she sure did. Her
Not
mom,
stage parents?
No, not a stage mom. Her mom was just not a stage mom. She was just so supportive, going over lines with her, helping her all the time, not pushing her in any way. Her mom, Michelle, was not living through her daughter.
Right.
She was there because the kids wanted to do it, and she glad to help them do it. That's so healthy on the set.
Absolutely.
And not to hype my film, but we do have a couple clips that Don is in, so whenever we want to, we can show those, and then we can boast more about
Well, I
him.
don't want to, Jack.
Oh, darn it.
Okay, I want to. All right.
right.
I can't wait to see more of Don. Let's take a look, Lynn, of another one of the clips with of The Key.
How long have you lived in the Cayman Islands?
Where?
The Cayman Islands. Duh. It's Mom. Not that I'm gonna say anything, but where exactly am I? Hell no. You got... Hold on, Mom. You got 10 seconds.
I thought the Cayman Islands sounded a little more exotic.
Any other lies you'd like to confess to?
I was only 2 when the boat you were on blew up. But my father talked about it for years.
So either I'm not your father, or I survived, or I'm a ghost. Why don't you ask your mother, see what she thinks?
Sorry, Mom. I decided to spend the night at a friend's house.
Very, very good. Sorry, Howell. We really do like going there.
Yeah, I had, originally it was going to be in Traverse City, and that didn't work out just logistics-wise.
Howell's a close second, I think. To Traverse City.
Yeah,
Sure.
it's a lot handier. And actually, not that it'll ruin it when people see it, but we shot that scene inside a barn in Fowlerville. That scene was inside a barn with the lights put on afterwards and the car sounds and all that. So.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
What are the most difficult scenes to shoot? Again, I would think you're relatively limited in terms of crew and equipment and resources. But are there scenes that you try to stay away from because it's hard to? It just doesn't translate as well. And unless you really have all the bells and whistles. And
I guess for me, I mean, being the writer and the director, you know that you don't want to write something that you can't shoot. In the previous film, we had a car explosion, and we knew it was going to be campy and goofy, so it didn't matter. But like in the original version of this script, I had like a boat blowing up and people jumping in the water, and I had car chases, and I said, well, I can't shoot that, so I'm not going to write it. But for me, the hardest thing to shoot is just the more people, the harder it is to shoot because the harder it is to edit. And so I purposely wrote this one, never trying to have more than, I think at one point there's maybe 4 people in a scene, but I always try to keep it either 2 or 3. So for me, it's more logistics, I think, than emotions that's hard.
Yeah, I would agree. Anything where you have to kind of choreograph multiple people, if you have people coming, people going, and you have a dolly traveling down a track, your master shot is usually the hardest thing to get because you can cheat everything else, but that master, everything has to go. Like the video about Grand Rapids a couple of months ago, it was one constant shot during the entire length of American Pie. American Pie.
Yep.
And so, I mean, that's the hardest. Orson Welles tried that in A Touch of Evil. He had he used an entire roll, just a whole roll of film. He shot this entire choreographed scene going down the street and all this. Those are hard things to do. And for us, we shoot small scale stuff, interiors mostly, some exteriors. But
the exterior shots caused us a big problem, if you recall.
Which one?
Well,
what were you shooting exterior shots of?
Well, our characters.
Yeah, our characters coming out of a wooded area. We had an airplane go overhead. We had a train in the background. We had geese that were making so much noise. We had to reshoot the scene because of things that were happening outside that were making all this noise.
Camaros without mufflers.
And is that normal?
No mufflers.
We wanted wild sound. We wanted live sound.
This
We
is
didn't
the
want
world.
That was a little too wild?
We didn't have any ADR. We had no additional dialogue recording for the entire movie. We kept everything the way we liked it. We had to sweeten it and do all kinds of stuff to the dialogue, but every sound. I mean, we added sound and all, but we didn't do any additional dialogue. We captured it live, wild, and but yeah, it's crazy when things out of your control, like ducks, geese, somebody
Even
wandering.
something simple like